to Ideas Mokay channel. In this video, we are going to learn about 7 ways how to improve communication skills. Being able to communicate is very important for everyone. Those who do not have effective communication power may have both understanding and telling problems. Effective communication is not an innate trait. You can improve your communication skills. In this video, we will address the tips on how to improve communication skills. Make sure you stick around till the end to learn all the tips. Number 1. The golden rule of communication. Learn to listen. The best way to understand is to listen. If you do not listen well to the person you are communicating with and do not empathize with them, after a certain period, the other person will stop talking. Show that you are a good listener with your gestures and facial expressions. When people are going through something problematic or upsetting, only sharing opinions can be valuable. You may feel you should give advice to help your friend. Don't do that. Just listen and be there. Number 2. Establish eye contact. Eyes are the window to the soul. Eye contact is a type of body language that is extremely important during communication and conversation. Sometimes our eyes are body language and speak even more than words. Keeping eye contact with a person you are talking to shows that you are actively listening and paying attention. Whether we realize it or not, we use our eyes as a form of communication at all times. Even actions like avoiding eye contact show a person that you are hiding something. Our eyes also reflect our sincerity, integrity, and comfort when communication with another person. To maintain appropriate eye contact without staring, you should maintain eye contact for 50% of the time while speaking and 70% of the time while listening. This helps to display interest and confidence. Number 3. Speak clearly. Speaking clearly can make it much easier to communicate ideas accurately. You need to slow down your speech, enunciate each syllable, and practice your diction. Take the time to practice speaking and correct yourself if you mess up. Method 1. Slowing down. Take a deep breath. Calm yourself down before you start speaking so that your lungs won't run out of air. Distill your thought. Do not spill them. Number 2. Articulate your words. Pronounce each syllable individually. Take it very slowly at first until each sound is clear and distinct. Gradually speed up your speech and decrease the space between words until you are speaking normally. Speak more slowly. It can be incredibly helpful to give your words an extra second or two to fully come out of your mouth. Method 2. Honing your speech mechanics. Practice your grammar. Speak as though you're composing an essay or a letter with patience, poise, and precision. Avoid speaking in run-on sentences. Expand your vocabulary. Reading is a great way to expand vocabulary. Try keeping a list of useful, powerful words. Think before you speak. Even if you don't plan out the exact words that you are going to say, you can take a moment to think through your ideas and clarify them in your mind. Speak with inflection. Questions should ascend in pitch at the end. Statements should inflect somewhat deeper with finality. Method 3. Exercising diction. Practice saying tongue twisters. If you work on phrases that are difficult to pronounce, you may find it easier to speak clearly in everyday conversation. Repeat the phrases over and over. Start very slowly and clearly, enunciating each syllable. Get faster while maintaining clarity. Be confident in your speech. Don't be afraid to speak loudly and clearly. Focus only on the words, their meaning, their beauty. Try not to overthink it. Number 4. Use appropriate gesture. Gestures come in handy, especially to portray you as a confident person, in control of yourself. The right gestures used at the right time can enhance the meaning of spoken words and even add another layer to them. They, in fact, become the second line of communication in addition to the spoken word. A firm handshake, for instance, reveals a person's confidence level and self-belief and tells the other person that you mean business. A nod of the head during a conversation conveys acknowledgement and shows that you are focused on the conversation. The fundamental idea behind communication is to convey your thoughts and have a meaningful discourse. Gestures have the power to act as effective tools of communication too. Not only can they be used to complement and support what is being spoken, sometimes they can act as the primary tool of communicating what you think and do that more effectively than even words. Facial expressions, hand movements, posture, and eye contact all aid non-verbal communication. Mastering these gestures and using the right ones at the right time becomes a skill to ace yourself. Number 5. Express your point of view. The biggest mistake you can make in trying to talk convincingly is to put your highest priority on expressing your ideas and feelings. What most people really want is to be listened, respected, and understood. They become more motivated to understand your point of view when we are negotiating, expressing our point of view, or simply chatting with a friend. We often have to agree or disagree with the other person. Also, we don't want to make a fight out of this. So we must know how to show empathy with different point of view and also disagree without sounding aggressive. It is very difficult to convince when they think you are attacking. We need to express our point of view and at the same time comfortable. They will be more open to our ideas, opinions, and suggestions. Tips. It is always a good idea to justify your point of view. Don't just say, I'd like to point out that, but say, I'd like to point out that because I think that. Explain your reason, and etc. Here are the list as a reference. Don't try to memorize them. Practice dialogues with another person and try to use expressions from here. You will slowly get familiar with them. It is generally accepted that I believe that personally I think, as far as I'm concerned, some people say that, it is thought that, and I say that These are the example of expressing your point of view. Number 6, compliment and criticize. An important task, you have to give compliments and know how to deal with criticism. Compliments motivate, yes. Criticism has a negative effect on relationships. Giving a compliment sometimes have a greater effect on the giver than on the receiver. The giver always knows he or she has given a compliment, even when the receiver doesn't even notice. In order to give a well-meant compliment, you are forced to actively look for something that is positive about the other. And by looking from a different point of view, this has an effect on you too. This does not mean that others will have to notice it, but when they do, knowing they're on the right path gives encouragement. This way, giving and receiving compliments has a motivating effect on both parties. The opposite of compliment is criticism. Both are expressed opinions of the other or their behavior, yet criticism is generally experienced as a negative. The reason for this is that criticism usually says more about the giver than the receiver, as it is a way from the giver to vent a negative emotion. Then feels like a rejection, a rebuke, or an attack. The receiver's negative experience is further magnified by the fact that there usually is nothing they can do about it or with it. That is why criticism is experienced as personal. It gives the feeling that the other person doesn't like you. Number 7, allow conversation. Conversation are the key to language development, the exchange of thoughts or ideas, and listening each other. Then people learn by hearing each other's thoughts while observing facial and body expressions that show emotions. Many of us have already heard a lot of advice on these things like look the person in the eye, repeat back what you just heard, or summarize it. Conversations are supposed to be fun. They involve personal interactions between 2 or more people about something of interest. But many people worry about having conversations. They are concerned they won't be able to keep the conversation going or about what they will say. Keeping or allowing conversations going is something of an art, and are one which many of us now may seem to lack. But all is not lost. Not only can conversational skills be learned and developed, but it is surprisingly easy to do so, especially if you follow some simple rules. Then, here are the rules of conversation. 1. Conversation is a two-way street. The first and most important rule of conversation is that it is not all about you, but it's not all about the other person either. It's all about the two person who interact each other. Number 2, be friendly and polite. Smiling and being nice will take you a long way in conversational terms. Everyone would rather chat to someone friendly and pleasant. Number 3, respond to what they are saying. To respond genuinely to what someone has just said means that you need to listen. You can just switch off and think about what you're going to say next. However, if we're honest, most of us would admit that we often do just that. It is important to focus on the other person and what they're saying. You also need to take in the account of the body language. Number 4, use signaling to help other person. When conversation is flowing well, it moves naturally from one person to another. However, if one or both are finding it more for a struggle to chat, you will find it helpful to use signals to show that one person that it is their turn to talk. Number 5, create emotional connection. Of course, it is perfectly possible to conduct a conversation entirely at the level of small talk with nothing important being said. But a conversation is also a way to explore whether you wish to know someone better and build a relationship with, then it can be therefore be useful to understand how to use conversation, and it means that to use that conversation you can always connect with someone. The key is sharing appropriate information. That means being prepared to be open about what interests you makes you into you as a person, and inspiring the other person to share too. Thanks for watching Ideas Mokay channel, and if you like this video, please hit and subscribe the bells button and for the more informational videos.